I just think the variety of experiences, we're all working in similar sectors, but how one is influencing the other. And I think also what's interesting is we don't work so much in workplace design, and just to hear some of the other people's experiences in that sector is quite interesting. We tend to work at a more kind of luxury end of the market, and certainly some of the things that are happening at the more entry level of the market in hospitality is very interesting. So we talked a little bit about those things. But then what's interesting is we all actually use bathrooms. So that's we all have an opinion on them. So that's part of the discussion, was really what is your experience, not just as a designer but as a user. It's very much about the niche that you're working in. So I don't think there's, we've all moved away from designing, identikit hotels, where the brand book for an international hotel brand is driving the absolute appearance of it. I think it will be more local, more driven by the place we're designing for and the people who you expect to be there, rather than it looking like the same hotel, the same bathroom in Paris as Berlin, as Istanbul. I think it's about what's appropriate for the locality and the context. I'm slightly conflicted because part of the discussion we had is that it should be seamless. So conservation measures and efforts to conserve energy should be quite seamless, and the guests shouldn't really notice it in a hotel room, for example. But actually, I think we want people to notice it. We want to drive a change in how people use energy and water and all of the resources. Hotels are really a drain on resources, and I think just having signs to alert people to switch off water whilst they're brushing their teeth is actually quite a positive thing. I mean, it may seem like quite interventionist, but actually it is quite a reminder, and I'm quite careful about things like that because I am designing, and I think actually there is a question of maybe we should be a bit more distinct in the way we identify the measures that we're trying to put into a hotel room, for example. Why can't hotel operators be driving a driving force, basically, towards a more sustainable business? Because surely it's better for their business model to be spending less on resources. So the whole discussion is fascinating, and me as a user, I sometimes am not armed with enough information to make the right choices, and certainly not as a designer do I always know the right choices, which are the more sustainable choices. I think this idea of the bathroom as a sanctuary it's not just a pragmatic place, it is an escape. I think the idea of taking a moment away from your desk, for example, came up about talking about workplace. I've certainly gone into a bathroom at work, and it's the one place where people feel that they can express themselves in a non-professional way, so they can have chat about their lives, and once you step back through the doors, you're talking about work again. So this idea of retreat and escape is important in workplace setting, I think, as much as it is in a hotel setting, which is about leisure, perhaps, and taking time to take care of yourself, because not everyone has that time. So, the one place that you can feel it as a user is having a bath. We talked about, are baths important anymore? Some five-star hotels dropping them completely from their spec, but actually there are still people who see that as the height of luxury, and that's partly driven by cultural, partly driven by personality, but the whole area is fascinating, and I think what's certain is that the rules we had 10 years ago no longer apply. As a designer, I've certainly tried to push individual bathrooms because of space issues. It's much more space efficient for us in this particular case, and the client says, well, yes, but actually I feel like it would somehow upset people to have unisex toilets, and I think even in the last 5 years that's changed. It will continue to change, and we talked a little bit about children growing up in the context of superloos as they discuss them in schools, and actually that, you know, the driver for schools having unisex toilets is very different from what it would be in the workplace or in other public environments. And children growing up with superloos and gender neutral environments will not find it strange at all to go to a public building with gender neutral loos, and so therefore I think it will change very rapidly, much like other parts of design have, purely driven by you know, by a single change, a single generational change. It's really interesting context to have a small intimate group to be able to discuss things. You know, every individual could contribute to the conversation. There was lots of dialogue. It's you know, generally a very pleasant atmosphere, I think, to gather people who are experts in their field together and discuss, you know, a multitude of different issues around bathrooms.